radio legend from the Seattle area. Please say hello to Mr. BJ Shea. BJ, how are you, sir?
Hi, guys. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on. This is very, very fun to finally actually be on your show, Eric, as I've watched it a lot of times. And of course, you and I have had great conversations over the years.
I know. And it's weird. We're kind of in the same position for different reasons, but we're trying to navigate. How have you been handling life post radio?
I'm getting used to the fact that this might be my life. I'm used to being off the air and having been fired, and I'm used to going, okay, got 6 months off, getting close to a year. But at my age, because I just turned 65, it's like, wait, that's the age you get to not work anymore if you want to. So it's weird. And Eric, I like not working. I really have to tell you, I am really lazy and I don't want to motivate myself anymore. And I like staying, and I'm a night owl, I'm a gamer. So, morning hours were always a beating for my natural circadian rhythm.
Believe me, so if anyone sympathizes, I will. If I've done radio on and off for almost 20 something years, if I never have to go back to a morning radio show, I'll be fine.
Yeah, so I'm digging it. I have to tell you, I really am digging just not having to talk to management. I'm digging not having to do all the silly things that radio thinks you should have to do, and just being on my own schedule. So it may be hard to get me to go back to any sort of full-time anything.
I think if the opportunity, because we're in a world now where, yes, morning radio has to be on in some capacity, but the majority of the people, or maybe at least splitting even, are not listening to a morning show anymore when they can get up later or get to it later from work or school, whatever they got to do, and get the on-demand version or get the replay if their station does that or something like that. It's like you're still listening to the show, just not when it's live. You're listening to it at a different time. You're still supporting, liking the talent, whatever. That might be the thing now. It's like, well, you don't need to be on at 6 and then off at 10. Or lately what they say, it's like, no, it's more important now. We have less talent and less radio stations to put the talent on. It's more important for you to be on at 5 a.m. now. Now, 5, you got to be there at 5 because there's still a lot of people getting up and get ready for 5. And then you're done at 9 because people are in the office at 9. And we'll just hit the music at 9 o'clock. And I go, I rather not. It's like, I rather them not have anything to listen to than be on the air at 5 a.m.
Sounds horrible.
It is horrible, but that is a legitimate mentality in a lot of the metropolitan areas.
And I'm not, I don't know. I'm not smart enough to know what the right strategy is, but you make some really good points. I know me, just anecdotally, I time shift the stuff that I watch all the time. I very rarely watch anything live. Even now, I'm a huge baseball fan, but man, YouTube puts these great short 15-minute up the highlights of every game I want to watch very shortly after the game is done. So I'm like, yeah, let me just watch all the great plays, all the great highlights, and I'm as up to date as anybody to watch that thing live. And, maybe I'll watch a playoff game live, but, you got a 162 game season. So I time shift almost everything. I don't watch anything.
When was the last time you had any kind of mentality or urgency for what they used to call appointment viewing? The show's on at 8 o'clock. You have to be there at 8 o'clock to watch. I don't care if I miss it because if I don't have the DVR anymore, but if my DVR didn't get it, there's a streaming component that has it either an hour after it aired or the next morning or something like that. I'll watch it when I'm ready. I will watch it, but I'll watch it when I'm ready to get to it.
Yeah, I'm super geeky with some of my, Marvel friends and movie friends. And so we will go to that Thursday night first showing weekend for a movie. But that's probably the only thing, Eric. I think that's the only thing and that's not really live, but it's like, all right, we're going to go to see this before, anybody else saw it or whatever. But yeah, to your point, man, who's doing that anymore?
See, even our own audience right there. I'm barely watching this show live. I agree. We're hosting it, and I'm barely paying attention to it.
Yeah, really, that's the best way. Especially us radio. You don't need to pay attention to us. We're not going to say anything that you can't figure out.
The most important part about doing personality radio and talk radio is not the talking, it's the listening. You have to listen to the callers, listen to your guests, because that's you know where to go and move forward. And most people don't even do that in this business. And they've been seasoned. They're here for, like decades, and they're still like, he didn't listen to that call. He just went on to the next thing, or they moved on, whatever. They didn't listen. We're barely doing it now, and we still enjoy it for some reason.
Eric, that's been the transformation of talk radio, and I feel like it's been the laziest thing that's happened in talk radio, is that people were trained on how to really interact with callers, pay attention, like you say, and make it very entertaining radio. Then, of course, they didn't want to have talented people anymore. So it's a lot easier to have these people just basically like they're trying to be morning shows on talk radio, going from subject to subject to subject, ADD theater, but nobody takes calls anymore. And I'm like, but that's the best part if you have a host that knows how to do it, but
Right.
nobody knows how to do it anymore. So they just eliminated it. And that's why talk radio is so bad now.
Yeah. If it's there at all. Like most of the personalities in talk shows are gone because they're too expensive, or they viewed it as like, oh, we can get somebody cheaper to come in and do that, and they'll just read a 15-second liner while we're playing music or we're playing everything else, and the audience will still be there. That's all we care about. If the numbers are still the same, it doesn't matter what the programming is.
Yeah, that's always debatable to me. Are they? I mean, are they still there? And that's what irritates me about management in our industry. Is it a strip mining mentality, and they know that the ship is sinking, and they're gonna take every copper wire they can out of there, and just squeeze every buck out of there, and all the golden parachute a-holes are going to be fine, and the business is going to be destroyed. That saddens me because, talent isn't usually the one that's the recipient of the golden parachute. And we're the ones whose heart and souls are on that ship as it's sinking. It really sucks.
Right. It really does suck. And that leads into why I asked if you would be interested in coming on here. But the whole thing with... we just found out today, Brother Wease, again, a legend in radio, a one market sensation, wasn't a national personality, but everybody in radio knew who the guy was if the audience didn't. And he spawned off a lot of other successful people over his years that either worked at the station he was at, worked on the show that he was on, some sort of influence. Today, kind of... blindsided a lot of people that, today's my last day. And the last time I've seen something like this was my pal Scott Shannon. When he was ending Scott and Todd, he made an announcement on a Thursday towards the end of his show. Today's my last day. Didn't want to do a Friday show. Didn't have the big, goodbye, get stuff ready, calls, bits, history lesson, all of those things there. He was it and done. And different reason, I don't know, maybe than what Wease is going through right now, but it seems like he's forced out the door on this. I pulled some of the audio from the show. We can go over there too. I don't know if you got a chance to hear it or not.
I didn't. I spoke to Wease today, and I want to be careful because we had a private conversation, and I did not know I was going to be interviewed by anybody. So I won't share everything, but this audio also may be somewhat revealing anyway. So we'll see how that goes. And I just want to be forthcoming, Eric. That he's my friend. I don't want to, because I just don't know what he's doing as far as what his deal is with the company, all of that. And so I want to honor him in that way. But at the same time, this audio, I sure as hell would like to comment on. Yeah.
All right. Let's put this on here and let's take a listen and see if we can hear this.
What's happening, brother?
Are you hearing that? Is that coming through?
No.
What's happening, brother?
You're not hearing that at all?
Nope.
No, sir.
Okay. Hold on. I knew
But
this.
glad it's not just me, because I am not the technical genius. So.
No, I knew this was going to have to be a difficult way to bring this in here. I got to do it this way and that way. Okay. Let's try this again and see if this works. Let's try there.
What's happening, brothers and sisters? It's the Brother Wease Show live from the...
You still not hearing it?
No.
That's weird. It's right there. Try one more time.
What's happening, brothers and
here's
sisters?
something.
It's the Brother Wease
There it
Show
is.
live from the studio. Downtown Rochester, New York. John DeTulio sitting right across from me.
I just want to point out, I know his medical conditions and what have you, but yeah, you can tell. I know his mind might still be there to do this, but it's obvious that his body is not letting him do what he wants to do, and that's got to be frustrating. To sit there.
He's close to 80.
Yeah,
Which is
Wow.
unbelievable. Like if I could be And he is so clear and knows what the heck he wants to talk about. And I'm thinking, there's no way. I'm not even sure at 70 I'd be able to pull that off.
Right.
He's amazing that because I would have been done a long time ago. But to your point, yeah, he sounds a lot different than I think we remember him 10, 15, 20 years ago. That's for sure.
He also says later, and because what I chopped it down still was 16 and a half minutes, but from everything he was talking about there, a lot of his issues were that, he's a cancer survivor, but he mentioned that this is not anything that was private. This is what he said on the air here. And also he's dealing with Parkinson's. So, that's been taking, as self-admitted too, that it's been taking a toll on him as well. And I think his wife is in there. She's one of the voices on the show here too, talking about this.
Doreen, yes.
Yeah. So, the guy has a lot going on, still wanting to do this, but this doesn't seem like it was his choice to move, to leave. This seems like this was a corporate thing that they just go, we're not doing this anymore. Let's see.
With Dino K, Scotty, and my bubby, my wife, I just want to mention a couple things. One person, I'll start with the guy that calls me an asshole.
Yeah.
The dude texts in, I hope you're listening. The fact that you're getting off on this tease is really quite pathetic.
Yeah.
And then he says, such an asshole move, taking advantage of listeners' loyalty. Really pathetic. First of all,
by the way, he's responding to the fact that he did this towards the end of the show. Like, he started the show, he's talking football, he's talking U.S. Open, he's talking a bunch of things. So a couple hours went past and he hadn't addressed this. And I guess either socials or whatever were teasing that Wease had a big announcement, and this guy's writing in, it's like, what the hell is going on here? You have a big announcement and we're already 2.5 hours into the show and you still haven't said anything. I get that. I do. If it was a podcast, if it was streaming, whatever. But when you're still on radio, most of your audience isn't there until like 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. So you wait a while if you can, instead of doing it at 6 a.m., 5 a.m., I don't know what time he's on, till the biggest amount of audience is there for you to say and put out what you need to.
This is not my doing. I've been fighting and fighting and fighting. I have, people above me saying, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And if you recall, if you went on Facebook, there was a post that said I'd be making an announcement at noon.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm doing it now, almost an hour beforehand, the announcement. Yeah. And so why would you think I did that crap on purpose? You don't know me.
Yeah.
But someone else texted in, this is a good one.
Okay.
This is a good one, Johnny.
I just also want to point out, too, that his voices always sound like that. He never had the deep boss jock voice or the smooth talk show voice. He always had this raspy, gravelly voice going back to even when he was younger. Like, there's an infamous clip of him on YouTube about him live at Woodstock 94. And he was doing a lot of live broadcasts, not only for the station he was at the time, but I guess like the ABC affiliate or something. And then the clips of him got picked up and used in documentaries and all that stuff because he was the local guy there, like a legend, rock legend. Everybody knew that. Other than a little bit deeper, it still sounded exactly like that. So this isn't like weathered from cancer treatments or age or whatever. He's always sounded like this.
What do you got?
This guy took a guess at the announcement.
Took a guess?
Bob and Jeremy are being replaced
with
Opie, BJ, and Cindy the Triple B.
Congratulations, BJ. Welcome back to radio. Same company, too. That's weird.
Yeah, very nice. That was. You know what? We had a show, the three of us, Cindy Pierce, Wease, and myself. We had some fun times, and I think some decent ratings, too. So, that's always great to bring that back.
And then you took off. You left him there. The guy who gave you an opportunity, you abandoned him to seek greener pastures and your own fortune.
Hey, don't forget, I also left the good ratings behind, too. That's very important.
Oh, that is very key, too.
I decided, you know what? Why do I want any success?
Good ratings, good paycheck, credibility. It's like, that can stay in Rochester. I'm going to go find my way out in Seattle.
That's a listener. That's a listener. That's a lifer.
That's my man.
That's a lifer.
That's it.
Yeah.
So
There goes the announcement.
So what's happening is that this is my last show. This is my last show after doing talk shows for 40 years. And, you know, I love my radio family. I'm not talking tools, screw him. I'm talking to listeners.
I knew it. 100%.
Hey, what about me?
Why would you change now?
No, you know, I love you. I love everybody almost. I loved everybody I was on the radio with forever, including Tommy Muley. I love everybody except Lily.
Of all the people you've worked
I forgot about Lily. Jordan, let me tell you about Lily real quick. Lily started off as an intern with us for the Ron and Fez show when we were at XM, and Lily became a sort of a heavily used voice during Ron and Fez. Like, they kept bringing her in to bounce things off of her because she was an opinionated female voice that they didn't have, and somehow wound up getting a deal to go in as the co-host or a third mic or something for Wease's show up in Rochester. So she left us at XM and went up to Rochester, but she wasn't there for that long. She was there, I think, 5 months, and then all we heard was, "Oh, this was a disaster. They had to get rid of her." I don't know technically what happened. I was heard she was difficult. And that was about it. And then she was gone. So I think they took her off and had to pay off the rest of her agreement. But she was there. Yeah, she left us, went there 5 months, I think about 5 months, and then was gone. And to this day, I still don't fully know what happened other than that was a disaster of an experiment, bringing her up there. And apparently still ripples through time about how terrible it was if Wease is even mentioning her. He's like, "I loved everybody but Lily." Like, what do you have to do in this guy's 40-year career to be the one that stands out? And you were only there 5 minutes. You were there for like 5 minutes. Everybody else has been there a couple years, 10 years. One guy who said I've been with you for almost 20 years. I don't know the names of the people on there. But he said somewhere in the audio, he was like, "I've been there for 20 years here with you, bound either doing sports or what other stuff at other stations with Wease." You're there for 5 minutes. And you're the one that gets singled out of a 40-year career. Yeah. Our pal Rocco, Tukey, Bedabbler, all three of them. He's like the mankind of radio. Speaking of Lily, is Franklin really dead? I don't know. I have no idea. Franklin is another storyline that we'll have to get into another time. But I forgot all about Lily and what a disaster that was. That she was recommended too. Not by me, but by other people were recommended. "Oh, she'd be great." And then, so Wease took the word, brought her on here, and it turned out to be the most dog shit recommendation of all time.
Wait, that's the only one I've heard you really say negative stuff.
No, there was another one, and I don't know if you were there.
She was only there for 5 minutes.
Oh, Stacy.
Stacy.
She was wacky.
Stacy.
She was racist.
She was just open.
She was wacky. She was racist. It's like,
That's something wacky about it.
yeah. All right, wait. So the racist one was still better than Lily? What did Lily do?
Right. Now I really want to know what Lily did.
Yeah, now I need to do a deep dive. What did Lily do that the wacky racist one wasn't even the most problematic in his years of history of characters on that show?
And blatant about being racist.
And open.
Nuts. Yeah.
She was blatant about it. She'd come in every day. "Let me tell you about the Jews," and you're like, "All right, she's still not as bad as Lily." It's like, what happened? Come on, you can't keep teasing us like this. You have to let us know what was going on here. We're gonna have to do a deep dive on this thing. Oh, super chat coming in. Pizza King, Lily was terrible. I never understood why Ron pushed her hard as a talent. Maybe he pushed her hard to get her off of his show. That could have been it too. It's like, "Oh, she's fantastic. You should take her. Get her out of the studio. That she's somebody else's problem." I don't know. We'll have to look into that.
I hired that broad.
Yeah.
Because she worked in St. Louis for
Let's skip.
Rochester was
I'm going to skip around a little bit here.
So you'll be hearing music. And
this is the station here.
They did give me they gave me a good opportunity. They did some research, the business.
They did some research and
Rochester wants a good rock station.
Okay, that's bullshit. That's being kind to him and saying, well, we checked our research and what the market really needs is a rock station. No offense. Any market doesn't really need a good music station at all, because everybody who's listening to music is on Spotify or Apple or one of those places there. They want personalities. They want people they can connect with. If you happen to be playing music, fantastic. But just having a station and not having good people on there to talk around the music or to entertain or whatever, connect. It doesn't matter. Then you're a jukebox. You're no different than anything else. And if you whittle it down to one of those corporate packages where you have 200 songs or less, and you're like, I could set my watch by this station knowing what time Linkin Park's going to be played or something to that effect there.
Saturday night with Dean Emery.
Yeah, how does the market need that? So I'm thinking that it's like, oh, they need a good rock station. 95.1 up there was a talk station, and he's only been there, I think, a little over a year because he got fired from the other place. Well, they said that they didn't renew his contract. He flat out came out and said, they fired me. They didn't want me there anymore. And he was at that station for decades, and they that station screwed him over. Now he's been here for about a year and a half, and then they flipped the talk format to this rock station now.
So you'll be hearing music, and it's a good thing. Yeah. You'll get the music you want. And they gave me a couple good opportunities. Okay, you can tell, he's being kind with this. It's like, it's good. That's a good thing. It's like they're taking care of him on the way out. Something's going on. It's like, if you don't shit on the station on your last show here, we'll honor this. Maybe they threw something else in there to buy out his contract. I don't know what the details are, but something had to have happened that greased the palms that he's not losing his fucking mind. Because he's also, whether you agree with his politics or his personality for what his show is on there, he's one of those guys that'll go off half-cocked if you piss him off. So for the fact that he's not doing this means that somewhere behind the scenes they're taking really good care of him, and he's just like, all right, I'll sign it, I'll leave, bye.
Yeah.
But I have to be completely honest, they don't really want I can't.
They love you, and they wanted to try to find like something that they thought was a fit that would work.
But I can't go out that way.
And you
I can't be in the National Broadcast Hall of Fame, the only guy ever from Rochester even nominated. I can't be in I'm in many halls of fame. I can't have people that know me all over America in broadcasting and see the headline in the trades tomorrow. Brother Wease, weekend mornings for a weekend music show. I can't go out that way.
I agree with him. I agree. It's like you can't be that, command a certain level of respect. You obviously were ratings powerhouse for them to be that in a market that long and go from one station to another station immediately and keeping this going. You command a certain level of respect. You can't just be demoted to, well, we're going to put you on Saturday and Sunday nights, 11, you're going to do like 12 to 6 or something, something terrible. And you go, well, unless it was his decision, it's like, I need to retire. I have health concerns, whatever. I want to cut my schedule back. So I'm stepping away from mornings. I'm going to do a couple of things. If it's your decision, that's fine. But if it's not your decision, that is a fucking slap in the face. It's just them trying to, well, we'll give you something, is how it's being treated.
I'm glad that he brought that up because we talked about that on the phone. That's why I wasn't sure if he shared that. That's good because you're right, Eric. What surprises me, and we'll hear more, but what surprises me is if that's the case, then why didn't they plan something besides him just going on and saying, so here's what they offered me, I don't want it.
Right.
Like that would have been a conversation that would have happened. Said, look, I don't want that. Okay, well, what do we want to do? That didn't seem to happen. That's a guy who's had a career like he's had, especially in Rochester. I would, look, this is what we're gonna do. There's no room for you anymore unless you do this thing we want. And if he's like, I don't want to do it. Okay, then the next step is let's figure out how you end and let's make it so it's great if that's what you want. It seems like that conversation didn't happen. I haven't heard the whole broadcast, but from this was his last show.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it was a fanfare. It wasn't like a celebration. I don't understand how that happened then, because he's saying they offered me this, but I didn't want it. Well, then where is option B?
Right.
That's so. I mean, I'll hear the rest of what you had to say.
This is why I compare it so much to what happened with Scott Shannon, because we found out after the fact, once Scott left, we were like, what the hell's going on? Why did Scott leave? This is 23 years as the morning guy at that station, one of the top billing shows in New York. That didn't matter if his ratings weren't number one. They were making more money than every other station. So you let them do whatever they want to do. He's leaving all of a sudden. And we found out later was that Todd was behind the scenes, angling to get his own thing, rebrand to be younger and more hip and all that. And then Todd would be the center of the show without Scott. And when Scott put all this together and saw what was happening, he goes, you couldn't pay an amount of money to sit there and endure that for another week, to do his final goodbye weeks, knowing the shit that they're doing to this guy, a guy who is a legend, a trailblazer in radio, and you're going to treat him like that. Same could be said to a smaller scale with Wease, been a market sensation for so long that they're doing this thing. It's like, well, we need to get you out of here, but we'll give you maybe we'll do a big goodbye thing on Friday. We'll buy some ads. We'll do all of this stuff here. It's like, I don't want any of that. That's repainting like a shitty house instead of doing the repairs. I'm not doing that. I'll just leave them. I'll make the announcement. I won't say anything. But tomorrow's going to be my last show, and then you can figure out what you're going to do. I'll walk away. Okay.
Yeah, I have an opinion about that, Eric, because that definitely your point of view is a point of view that I entertain myself, as a matter of fact. And there was a different point of view presented to me, and I think we can talk about that after you if you want to play more audio.
Okay.
Because I do believe there's a reason to still have that kind of show, even under the circumstances that happened with Scott. And if these circumstances are also the same for Wease, that I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. Again, I'm speculating. Yeah. I'm just going based off of history that I know has happened, and my own opinions on this.
But you're right. I mean, that that definitely Scott. I can understand why he'd go out the way he did, and I think like I said, there's another case for him going out differently. But again, it was Scott's choice to make.
Right. But Scott did have a happy ending, because a few months later, he was given mornings at CBS FM in New York. In the first rating book, he was number one in the city and kicked the shit out of Todd's show, and was consistently either 1, 2, or 3 for his entire run at CBS. Todd didn't even make the top 10, and it got so bad they had to sell the station to K-Love, that Christian education company. Mm-hmm. He killed the entire station with that move.
And Scott is one of those dudes that was always so kind to everybody in the radio business. He would go to the conventions and he was
blunt.
Never too big.
He would tell you what you needed to hear, whether you wanted to hear it or not.
Yeah, which is all you could ask for.
Yep.
Now, do you think, like, if he said, I didn't want to go out on a Friday, I don't want to do this big thing, is that why they flipped format so quickly? Because it's an immediate format flip.
Yeah.
Like, there's no, stunting over the weekend. There's no, like,
the webpage is already not a Rock 90. They flipped it this morning, I guess.
The second they were all done.
Yeah, it's the timing of it, Jordan. You're absolutely, all of it is so bizarre to me, because you've got a guy that you could celebrate, and if you did it the right way, people could go, okay, Wease went out on his own terms. Now we have this new radio station. It seems very clunky. All of it's just very clumsy and clunky.
Yeah. All right. Let's continue.
I can't do that. I was up all night. I was gonna do it.
Yeah, he was considering. You were considering it, and it was.
I was gonna do it. I was prepared.
They were from their heart. They tried to come up with a plan that because they wanted to keep Wease here, and I'm sure they still want to keep Wease here.
So you catch that, Eric, right?
The what?
So you catch that. He said that he was up all night.
Mm-hmm.
This sounds like this was
quick.
I mean, if I listen to this, if you guys,
this sounds like it was a quick about face on his part.
Yeah, it seemed like. I mean, it seemed like everybody thought, okay, here's the plan. This is the plan that's going to happen. Whoa, that's
we're not going to probably have a chance to get to it because again, there's a lot more to this audio. But later on in this audio here, he says he talks about this again because he's got to take breaks. He's got music stuff that they're playing. So he's talking in these big chunks, but then he takes breaks and, terrestrial radio and stuff like that. He's got about like 10 minutes of commercials. Then they're playing a couple of songs before they even get back to him. So he's got a lot of space in between when he's doing this. There's a portion where he's talking about being up all night and he's like, it was going to be bad. He's like, and his wife, she said, oh, yeah, I know. I saw some of the stuff he was writing out. And he goes, yeah, it was going to be bad. He goes, it would have been good for some people. He goes, but it would have been bad for all the people right around here. And I think he was talking about the people on his show. What he explains, it's coming up here too. They already reassigned his entire show. He'll start talking about where every member of his show is going to a different station within the company or a different thing. So people didn't get fired. Luckily, you don't hear that anymore with this.
Right.
But everybody was already reassigned to different stations, different shows, different whatever. Like everyone's done. They walk out of that studio. They go to their new offices, their new whatever. It's already done. Like he didn't have a say in this. They took his entire show away from him and moved them elsewhere.
Well, I just love the idea that if that is what happened, that Wease just sort of changed his mind.
Mm-hmm.
If that is like what he said, that is so what I love about Wease is that Wease is just going to be true to who he is.
Right.
And it's very possible that it was a shock to pretty much everybody in that building that it went down the way it went down as we're hearing it.
All right. Let's
I can only imagine, like, if, like, it's like, did they think as the show was airing that he was going to make this big announcement talking about he's going to do the stuff they want him to do, and he said no during the show? Is that the first time they might have figured that out? I mean,
well, he was even saying that he announced this thing a full hour before they teased what the announcement was going to be. So he was saying the announcement was supposed to be at noon, and he was talking about how they're doing it at 11, like a full hour before even that happened. So I think he jumped the gun even.
Whoa.
BJ, when we're done here, we're obviously not going to get to all this. I'll send this over to you so you can hear it.
Yes.
So you have it for yourself so you can listen to everything here. And I apologize. I was getting texts from some people, and I'm like, why is this person texting me? And they're just saying, can I get that audio too? So apparently this is starting to make the rounds that this might not be the happy ending that iHeart, I think it's an iHeart station that they were.
It is. Yes, it is.
That they were hoping for with this. I think more and more is going to come out as time goes on with this.
Tried, but it's fair. I mean, I have a contract that says 9 to noon.
Right.
And that's what.
Oh, all right. I got to retract something I said earlier. I thought he was 6 to 10 morning. I didn't know he was like a midday morning kind of thing. So he was only doing 9 to noon.
That happened a year or 2 years ago. I think Rover, they replaced him with Rover in the morning.
Well, that's who's taking over. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think Rover was already doing his show in the morning anyway, if I'm not mistaken. So he was the midday guy. So Rover being there, Rover's already there, I think. So he's not replacing Wease on the new format anyway. It's just, they were going to probably, whatever the reason was, Wease was no longer part of the new rock station plans.
It was but it was also probably to clear the way so that Rover could be live through that 9 to 10 that Wease has taken up there. So they probably were running like an hour of best of or the previous day's show before the 6 o'clock airing. Like, I don't know how that station's functioning, but just in my head, they probably want that another hour to free it up for Rover. With all of this, who knows? We'll see.
I would like to do, and they need music because that's what research said people in Rochester want to hear.
That's bullshit. Whenever they say, well, the research shows, that's not anything. That's just them saying, well, we had this idea in our head and we're going to go with it. And we're going to say the research said, or the consultant said. It's like the consultant has never even opened a microphone once in their life, and they're going to tell you how to run your radio station. Okay, fine.
So
yeah, you and I share a lot of similar opinions about people with their research, radio consultants. They just nowhere near have enough money to do the kind of research that would need to be done to know anything about anything.
Can I see that, please? What? Yeah, you're saying there's research, and I'll gladly go along with it. But can I read it, please? I would like to just get an understanding. Oh, we can't give that to you. Why can't you?
Yeah.
You're saying this is research. You're changing the lives of dozens of people and their financial situation. At least let us read the research so we can understand. Oh, there isn't any research. I knew it. I knew you were lying. Okay.
What they hope, Eric, is they never have to talk to anybody who's as smart as you, because normally, a lot of us talent aren't bright enough to be able to, basically sort through the Orwellian doublespeak that those guys have. But if you have a brain in your head, you usually go, wait a second, you make no sense here. And they're like, oh, wow, you actually know things. Okay, I got to run. I got to go.
That's why they don't want to hire me.
You're going to hear Def Leppard, Judas Priest.
Well, we don't know what kind of music.
Oh, maybe different.
The research is saying that you need to hear Def Leppard and Judas Priest.
Yeah, it's so true.
It's not like they're saying, well, we're going more of an active rock direction, so you're gonna hear more of like 21 Pilots and My Chemical Romance, something somewhat recent.
No, it's got to be. It's got to be Pour Some Sugar on Me. Everybody knows that.
We need the lead to get the lead out. We need the mandatory Metallica, because we got to compete. Metallica's got that deal with SiriusXM now, so we got to show that the heart of the music fans is really still on Tourette. Shut up! Stop with the buzz
almost
terms.
Rocktober. Come on, man. You know what it's about.
I don't even know.
You don't know what kind of music.
And it's going to be great because Jeremy and Tools will have a 2 to 6 good music show.
That's why he's saying everything's to be good, because his staff, his guys are all being put somewhere else, and he doesn't want to destroy their opportunities.
Right.
That at least they're not being fired. So he's like, all right.
That is a nice thing. A lot of folks worry about the people that are working, and when anybody loses a gig, if they have a staff at all, you do worry about that. Even if they don't necessarily have to financially worry. So
right.
that is a silver lining.
But the best part of the change at this radio station, it won't be this radio. It'll be Fox Sports.
That's right.
Oh.
Yeah,
I'm going
Johnny's
back.
returning.
Yeah, I'm going back. And the only reason I got that shift.
I don't know who this guy is, but he's either trying to imitate Danny Bonaducci or Scott Farrell, or he's trying to do both at the same time. They all have this weird, gravelly, cigarette burnt out, like esophagus kind of voice. And then they're going to be sitting there telling you about the WNBA scores. It's a weird combination.
Back in 06, when they hired me here, is the 6 years I spent with Brother Wease at the old place. That's the reason why they hired me here, because of you, the 6 years I spent with you at the old place.
But I remember that, but I'm so happy for you, because this is your stuff.
Yeah.
Well,
it's a sad day, but I'm happy going back and doing sports. But, basically, I've been with you 25 years. Maybe take a year away when you had to sit out, when you were still at the old place. So let's say we've been together 23 years on the air. It's a long time, man. I owe you a lot, my friend.
What fun we had. We were going through pictures.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can
It's
jump through a
ironic.
little bit
He
more.
loves.
Yeah.
So I would say, if you stay tuned.
I'm moving too.
Where's Dino?
Dino is going to be, you can't say what station?
I can say, I think.
Yeah.
Right, why can't I? Why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
For reasons I'm.
All right, so
Ninja.
all his staff has already got other jobs. Like, they're all ready to go. They're like, they're probably starting the next day from doing all of this. This was very abrupt.
That was the right fit for him.
Oh wait, hold on.
They love Wease, and they care about him, and they did present something that they wanted for him, but he just didn't feel in his heart that was the right fit for him.
Starting next year, I'll have a podcast with Jake.
There you go.
And I'm going to have all kinds of classic stuff.
Great.
Classic stuff.
Jake, remember that box of tapes I gave you a while ago?
Do I ever?
All right, here's something. That is the smart thing to do, but again, you're wasting time. Like, I don't know if he has to legally sit out or something. I don't know his situation, but it's September, the very beginning of September. And he's saying, well, in January of 26, I'll start my podcast. You should be doing it now. Like, you should, obviously he's not going to be the guy physically putting it together, but he's got people around him. or somebody is helping him out with this. Get that going now within weeks at most. Launch that podcast so that you can try to maintain as much of your audience as you can as you're leaving radio. And this is a time where they can't do anything. It's a free commercial. Just saying, like in 2 weeks, we're starting our podcast. So look for, search Brother Wease on the podcast, whatever he wants to do to keep some of that audience, like Anthony did. When Anthony left, within a month, he had Compound up and going and managed to salvage a lot of the O&A audience after leaving SiriusXM. You got to do something like that. You got to strike while the iron's hot, as they coin a phrase.
Are we assuming that he's going to be doing a podcast for iHeart, or is he going to do something on his own?
I don't know. But the fact that it's 4 months away, it's like, I don't think iHeart's involved with it. And he's playing classic stuff. He's only been with iHeart about a year and a half.
I don't know why again, if he wants to do a podcast, I don't know why iHeart wouldn't want to somehow be part of that. It just adds to their their library of podcasts, which of course doesn't matter. They'll take whatever they can get because it just adds more listeners to their entire podcast network. That's very bizarre to me too. I feel like if they said that the company cares about him and they really love him and they have no problem with people podcasting. So that is a surprise that he said that. And you're right. Like, why wouldn't it be right away? And I would imagine it should be on iHeart.
I think if it was an iHeart podcast, they would have let him promote it and say, hey, this is coming, because they would have the sales rights to it, to put the ads and stuff on there. But if it's waiting for 4 months, either, I don't know, it was poor planning on Wease's part and whoever else he has helping him with this, or maybe it's a contract thing where he's not allowed to do anything for the next 4 months or something like that. I don't know.
He was, the one thing about Wease that he was really good at, a lot of jocks are good at it, a lot of air talent that I'm not good at. I can get you ratings and then hopefully your salespeople can sell them. That was always my bag. I never had great relationships with advertisers where they were my buddies and they would always stick with my show no matter what. I was just very awkward and not super social. Like if a salesperson would bring me out, sure, I go and hang out with with a client. That's fine. Wease was so great with that. And he had so many advertisers that I just felt like no matter what, he would always have a show because whatever his salary was, his advertising paid for it and more. That's why this would be shocking to me that there wasn't something that could be worked out. I mean, again, I don't know lately what he's been doing from a revenue standpoint, but he's always been so good at that. And again, iHeart has podcasts. If there's revenue involved, I know that Bob Pittman has said many times at many conventions, I don't care about the ratings as long as you're making us money.
Right.
So I feel like that there's a guy that's had a history of doing that. And even if you have to exit him out of your new radio station, because it's obviously, it's a rock station, Rover's your guy, Wease is who he is at that stage of his life. But there's got to be a place for him, a guy that can generate income. And if you give him a way to be able to still do the show that he wants to do, this is just all bizarre how this has ended. It's just all bizarre to me.
It's rushed, but that's the way radio is doing everything now. It's like, well, you know what? We could save a ton of money if we get rid of him. Well, he's been in this market forever. He's constantly number one, or at least within the number one reach. Ad revenue is very strong with him. Yeah, but you know what? We could put somebody else there and we can make up the money somewhere else. Or we'll keep the same money and just throw expand Rover on there and we'll be fine. We don't care. Again, Bob Pittman's exact words, I think it was that Rolling Stone article, Jordan, that we read a while ago, that they only care. They're going to only care about 5 shows. His words, that the companies only worry about the app and the streaming, and that they're only going to be down to 5 shows because you can do those shows from anywhere, and that's all that they're going to need. And I guess Rover's one of them because I know the other is Elvis, Woody out in LA, Bobby Bones, and then I don't know who the 5th one's going to be. I doubt it's Seacrest, but who knows? That's all they care about now. Everybody who's local is, I think, pretty much got a bullseye on their head nowadays. Where it's like, hey, I'm still on the air. Yeah, but for how long?
We're using.
I gave him a huge box of
That's
tape.
a great. When's that start? I love that.
January.
Well, we don't know.
Beautiful.
26.
Oh, buddy. Okay. Now you're talking.
If things don't go well, earlier. Either way,
bro.
we will be doing that. And the people that text in It used to be phone calls, but it's...
All right. Well, he goes on there. He's starting to sound very a bit curmudgeon there, where he's talking about how we used to take phones and faxes and then text. It's like, all right, we can skip that part. He does mention, I'll summarize some of the, and then I'll get right to the end, his very ending of the show here. He does mention a lot of different people that started with him, came from some form of either his show or his influence or whatever. He mentions Ope, and he said he was hearing from a lot of other people. He mentions you a lot too on this thing here, but I was going through the whole thing trying to see if you had called in or not, but you weren't on there. Ope wasn't on there. And I forgot who the girl was. She wasn't on there too. That they reached out to. They didn't hear from her. But he said this. He also said, I think it might be in this part here. This is not the way I want to end. There's more things I want to do and say to people, whatever. So this isn't the end. Even though he's ending the radio show, I think he's going to put something else out there. Maybe at some point to talk about what else is going on.
To your point, had this been something planned where they would want to have their former people on that worked with him on his last show, they would have let us know. Like I there was a message on my phone today, and I was still sleeping because I stayed up very late last night. So I had my phone on silent. When I got up this morning, it was like an hour before I got up that I noticed there was a message from him, like that he called, and I'm like, what is he calling me for? This is very bizarre. And I was like, well, he's on the air. So I think he probably wanted to talk to me on air, but like the day of at the time seems very strange. If it's your last show, you would probably line these people up so that you wouldn't call them day of. You'd try to, everybody else, Eric being, producing the show like you did, you would do more than just day of to try to get somebody on the show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so that's another reason that makes me think that this is all just very strange how it all just has gone down.
Probably that could be why you got it text day of or morning of, was if he had told anybody else that it probably would have gotten out. We both know somebody that I used to work for that can't keep his mouth shut and probably would have made some kind of rant or whatever this morning, or maybe have said or posted something thinking it was innocent or attention grab. Who knows? But I think Wease was thinking ahead. Is like, I'll just keep it close to my vest, and then I'll, whatever I can get it to be during the morning while it happens is what it's going to be. Again, going out pretty much forced out the door, but ending what they're allowing him to do on his terms. So
yeah, I don't think I would have been on his show anyway, because it is the same company that I used to work for,
and you're still dealing with. So yeah,
and so that's why I would, which is a sad thing, because I would love to have been part of whatever would be a last show celebration for a man that had such a great career and influenced so many of us who went on to do great things. And Opie is the perfect example. I mean, I understand that, these days Opie is definitely considered much differently than he was in his heyday. But in his heyday, one of the, and Eric, really one of the greatest shows radio's ever seen. And his influence definitely came from Wease. And
he's still saying Brother Man. He's still saying that, and Mother Hucker, which were all Wease things.
They were all Wease things. Wease he influenced so many people. So many folks reached out to me today, people in the radio business, like, my God, I wouldn't have a career had I not run into Wease, saw Wease at a convention, because Wease was just everything that radio wasn't in the 90s. And, he just never wanted to leave Rochester. He got many opportunities to go everywhere, and he just loved his hometown. And I wonder, Howard is Howard, but man, I wonder if Wease just said, I want to go out and be the biggest thing ever, what would have happened? That's just something he never wanted to do. And that didn't mean he didn't have the talent to do it. I believe, and I think Howard is definitely one of the best. You got to give it to him. I still think Wease, in my opinion, a more talented, truly talented radio broadcaster than Howard Stern. But look, part of it is you got to go out and do it. You got to go take the chance, leave your hometown. You got to take those chances, maybe get, and Howard did a lot of things that you have to do to be where Howard is today. But still, I think Wease is a much more talented broadcaster. I think he's much better than Howard in so many ways in radio. Of course, I work with him, so I'm biased, but sorry, he's created a lot of great radio talent. I am who I am because of working with him. And I that's why I wish he had a better send-off. He deserved it. And it irritates me. This business lets this stuff just happen. And nobody from the so-called NAB, RAB, it's a Hall of Famer. This is a Hall of Famer. What's the point of having a Hall of Fame or trying to elevate your art and your industry when you let people get treated disrespectfully? And I just think no matter whatever, this way his career ended, however it ended, to me, it's disrespectful. Mm-hmm. I just feel it should have been better than this. I don't know why. I don't know whose fault it is. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying the way it ended to me is disrespectful, just massively disrespectful for somebody who's in the Hall of Fame. Guy like me, yeah, fine. I mean, I'm not a Hall of Famer, but geez,
you're not? You lied to me. You told me you were.
I wanted to be on.
You wear the T-shirt all the time.
Yeah, I've told you anything. Listen, pal, you know what? You should really do. You should check the records.
He walks around at gaming conventions. It says Hall of Famer and has the arrow pointing up to him.
Well, for board gaming, yes, I could say that. I mean, well, okay, maybe I can't.
No, you can. You're a bit of a dork with that. I get it.
Yeah, super dork on that one. But yeah, I'm just frustrated because I think the industry. It's kind of like, the commissioners in the NFL, MLB. They're really useless. And sometimes I wonder, is the NAB, RAB, is it useless? Because nobody can really affect the owners and make the owners do better than what they're doing. But this is a travesty, in my opinion. It's a travesty that this is how Wease's career ends. Whether he wants fanfare or not, it still should happen. Mm-hmm. I mean, the fans, the people that love him, that's why I decided to have a final show at KISW where I was, because people got to me. People said to me, look, you may be upset with the company, whatever, but what about the people? What about you've been doing the radio in this town for 20 years. What about all those folks? They're going to want to be able to listen to you and have you get your accolades and have some sort of closure. And I never really thought about that. And I'm glad that I did do it. Even though it was not my choice to leave, I'm glad that I let them sort of give me that final show because it wasn't just about me. And that's the other side of it, Eric. The other side of it is, what about the people that listen? Because you know how radio is. Radio never tells the listeners what happened. They never do. There's never any closure. And so I'm glad that I did it. I really, really am, especially since, when I went to work for the other place, it didn't end well at all. So at least I had a good ending at KISW, which was where I had my most success anyway, mostly in my career. So I'm glad I did it. And I feel like somebody could have talked Wease into that. Somebody could have said, do it for the legacy, do it for your children so they can listen back someday and really, or do it from where they can listen to it while it's happening. I think he could have been talked into it because you have an ending. It's going to happen no matter what. Someday they're going to come to you and go, look, it's not working anymore. We have to let you go. And you got to know that as a broadcaster. And if somebody could sit with you and go and be reasonable and go, so we're going to do this, but unfortunately, radio never has the time. They don't have quality management. I mean, honestly, if you say you're a manager in radio, you should hide that information. You should never tell anybody because that's not an accomplishment. I mean, really, there are people living in the zoo in a cage that can do a manager's job in radio. So they just don't have qualified people to handle these things in a way that somebody like Wease deserves, somebody that the industry deserves. That's why the industry is the way it is right now, because nobody is good at their job except the talent. Nobody else is good at their job. I'm sorry. You can't point to any manager at all or any CEO who I'm telling you is good at their job. They're not. You know why? Because they're in radio. Anybody manager that's worth anything is not in radio. They get scooped up by other careers, other businesses. Talent is the only thing radio has where you might find there's somebody who's really good, because talent will do anything because they're artists. They love it. But managers, and this is another example of management failure, such management failure that this is how his career ends. Ridiculous, just ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm seeing people in the chat. They're mentioning people in their local markets and stuff. It's like I used to listen to them all the time. And the next one day they're gone, and you don't know what happened. And they're not. You go to their socials. You there's never been a better time to get your information out there with all the outlets that you can do so, and they can cuff you on that too. It's like, well, if you want to get paid the rest of your contract or whatever, it's like you can't post anything. Some make you sign a non-disclosure agreement, whatever the thing is, and like you can never talk about why you're. I was on this show we had this show for so many years. The audience is going to want to know why we aren't there anymore, and you were saying you're going to pay us what you actually owe us, but we have to sign an agreement that we can't talk about it ever. It's like we can't just leave and then the audience goes, whatever happened to that show? They were on for 10 years. They were on for whatever their run was, and they didn't say a word about it, and they still can't say a word. Like, that's kind of fucked up. Pay them what you owe.
Customer service.
Yeah.
Horrible. I mean, the listener is your customer, and you are literally just crapping all over them. And then you turn around and go, hey, look at this new thing we have. You should listen to it. It's like, are you high? What business thinks that they can treat their audience that badly and expect them to come back? And of course, take a look. I mean, are they coming back? I wonder why they're not coming back. We
did a piece last week about a couple of people prominent in radio thinking that they could or they were in talks to possibly take over for Howard if he doesn't resign. And we had to go through this and go, you're not. Nobody in radio is going to replace him. No. They'll hire a famous podcaster, an influencer, some other kind of celebrity talent that'll be the new face, the new name for the company. They're not replacing him with a radio show. That is long gone and done. Unless it's a morning show on a station that's on 24 hours that has to have programming or something like that. But even to that level, like if you got, like if Woody left or Elvis left or something like that, we're going to be the show that replace. There's not going to be big fanfare. They're not going to be who could possibly fill Elvis's shoes. It doesn't matter. They'll put somebody on there and they won't care about it anymore. They're not going to treat it with the respect and the dignity that the business used to have. Well, what little that it used to care about for the people that work there, not to mention the people that actually listen to it. Like you said, the disrespecting the consumers, the customers, the listeners, all of those things. They don't care, and it's even worse now. They don't care. That job will get done by somebody, and that job is only worth this amount of money. It doesn't matter how much experience you have or how little experience you have. Is the job getting done? Yep, then that job's only worth $35,000. That's all we care about at Case Closed.
And, money definitely is a thing, and finances are a thing. All of that is real. I never have a problem with the what, because, they have to do something. The what isn't the problem. It's the how. Like how they do it is always how I have the problem. Because look, you go, what do you want us to do? Or revenue is this. And I go, I get it. You have to do tough things. It's how you do it that I'm very upset with you at, because you bungle it every time. Every time you bungle how you have to do tough things. And this is another one. I mean, why Wease is on his last show is what it is. I don't know why. I'm not a manager. I'm not part of all of that. I mean, he explains his side of it. I don't know their side of it. And I don't want to demonize anybody for having to make tough decisions. But my God, how you make those decisions? Yes, you should be criticized. And the industry systemically makes these horrifically bad executions of these decisions. Right. And nobody holds them nobody holds them accountable for that. And I think that's what needs to be done. Is like, look, we get you got to do this, but you bungled it. And I mean, at this point, I don't understand why they can't cut the salaries of every single manager and put anybody else in there for half price. They will not do worse. They will not do worse. They definitely won't do better, but you're right. They won't do worse. Yeah, exactly. You don't have to do better. You just have to do the same, because that's all that seems to matter with radio right now is, can you do the same? Can you not take chances? Can we it's just, you run into that all the time. Nobody will take chances. Everyone's trying to survive. Everybody's just trying to keep their job with this mediocre approach to everything. And there's always one person in a company who makes a decision that all the underlings follow, because they're afraid to buck the system, because you never get rewarded for bucking the system. You get in trouble when you fail bucking the system. So they'll never take a chance. Right. But anybody who's a talent knows you have to buck the system to be great. And you'll never get that with mediocre management. And, and that's mediocre is actually high praise. Radio, I don't even think it has that. They just don't. And I don't have a problem saying that, because, It's a fact. And every talent in the business knows that. And you guys know that. And radio doesn't have the luxury of hiding behind, you better not say bad stuff. The business needs help. And mediocre management is destroying the business. And you can't have one old white guy making a decision for an entire company. And that's all it is.
Well, apparently you can, because they re-signed till 2031. So
yeah, they do. And congratulations. Well, you're not going to be anything anymore.
No. Nope.
Because, Eric, this, Twitch, everything. I think YouTube, all of it. They're much more successful platforms for delivering content. And most of the time, the content is so much better. I don't know what you have to see. Hey, there are companies, that are hiring people from YouTube on the radio. And it's like, oh, there's a shock. Oh, you're hiring somebody because they weren't under the constraints that you put on your own people. That's why they can be good. And you go and hire them. Go, look what we did. We hired this great talent. You could have great talent if you weren't constraining them with all the hats they have to wear. And this person's going to be horrible once they work for you, because you're going to make them wear the hats and give them all the constraints. Okay.
Or if you love the companies that said, not only are you going to be in management, but you got to do an on-air shift, you got to help with promotions, you got to do talk and deal with the sales department, and then you have to do 2 blog posts a day for the website. And you're like, what? No, I don't care how much you're paying me for it. That's what's queering the deal here. 2 blog posts a day, or I'm just going to write terrible stuff if you keep making me do this, or I'm not doing it at all.
There you go.
We're going to have to let you go. Why? Your numbers are through the roof. The advertising money is doing fantastic. He's not doing the amount of blog posts that we told him per day. That's the fire point for it? Whatever.
Yeah.
Your priorities are all out of whack.
And why do we want to do blog posts? Well, we don't know.
Got to keep it local.
What all the kids are doing.
Yeah.
I think the kids are doing that. Yeah. The conversations you can have with management that are obviously clueless to anything that's going on at all, anywhere, in any platform.
Right.
And to have to sit in those conversations and I mean, I had 40 years of it for me. 40 years I had to sit and listen to people who 3 weeks later are selling carpets somewhere in the mall. And this was my boss just 5 weeks ago telling me exactly what I had to do. I had a guy, since we're talking about Wease, I had a guy that he was our boss. And when Wease and I worked in the same place, he was not a fan of Wease. He was like, this guy he's nothing like the guy that I listened to on my rock station in the town I grew up in. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's true. He's not like that guy. He's Wease, who's got ridiculous numbers here in Rochester. Why are you not happy with that? He's got to be better. He's got to be better than these ridiculous numbers that nobody in the country has. Like, these are the conversations I'm having with, again, and I'm not lying, he became a carpet salesman. But they made me have to sit in a room with this guy and listen to him, who was an idiot. He just was an idiot. And I'm like, radio, you have to stop this. Stop wasting my time with people like this, because they're going to not even be in the business in a couple of weeks. And that's pretty much, hey, guess what? That was like 30, 40 years ago. Eric, it's still happening. Jordan, it's still happening. These people are still here. They're still wearing their pens and they're going, I'm in charge, and here's the research. Okay, fine.
Yeah, all the good talent, all the good personalities aren't here anymore, but they're still here. They're still down the hallway, twiddling their thumbs, doing nothing.
I've been here 30 years. I'm like, is that a badge of honor?
Yeah, didn't that station flip format like 6 times while you've been here 30 years?
Yeah. Okay. Congratulations. You're here. And but Wease, I wasn't he still is, was just a tremendous, tremendous talent. I would also like to say, made this industry millions. That's the other thing that pisses me off, because morning talent gets paid a percentage, and whatever that percentage is, the formula is always the same with agents. Maybe it's 10% of whatever the revenue is. That's what you make. So if you got some guy making $3-4 million a year back in the day when that was happening, well, then they were making crazy money for the station. And that's the thing that irritates me, is like this, what have you done for me lately? Like business, you got paid tons because of this talent's ability. And that's how they get treated. Like, that's how Scott Shannon gets treated. That's how Wease gets treated. The years of all the millions they made for you mean nothing. Oh, that's so frustrating to me. I just feel like, it's so just disheartening to realize that no, they don't even care. And it's like, we didn't, by the way, take all that money and squander it because you're morons with money as well. That's the other thing, is like, you're morons with money, you're morons with management, and we pay the price. My God, it's just like, it's just amazing to me. You know, when you have a CEO that has a stock price that's lower than Saran wrap on a sidewalk, and they're still there, and they tell you, well, you're number 3, so we're gonna have to let you. What? Your ratings are horrible. Like, your company's almost delisted. You should go.
Right.
And it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen, and it's so frustrating.
They don't have money to keep talent in stations and morning shows, any of that stuff there. But, and like you said, their stock's in the toilet, but yet they still find the money to put on music festivals, branded national music festivals and podcast award shows and all those kind of things. It's like, but then it's like, well, we can't, the station's too expensive. We can't give it. Did you really need to do the big thing out in Vegas? Did that really need to happen that no one gives a shit about? Is what it is.
Yeah, Eric, it's,
we know. We all know. Let me get to the last minute here of his sign off and all of this stuff. And before I do that, real quick, I just got to ask, BJ, do you have Discord open?
I don't think so. Is my Discord? Is there? Discord
I don't know, because it's been beeping throughout the whole thing here, and I closed mine. Jordan closed his. I'm like, we're still hearing it. See, there it is. There it is again.
I don't think I have Discord even. Okay, here's the old time alert. I don't think I have Discord on my laptop. I don't use Discord. So
okay.
I can try to figure it out.
No, that's right. I don't know. It just sounds like Discord keeps pinging for a notification or something.
I have Stream. I'm going to do a quit Stream. What else do I have open here?
Yeah, people in the chat there. I thought that was mine going off the whole time. Everybody was listening. It's like, is my Discord going off while we're listening to this?
Yeah, I was getting messages like, hey, can you help get that off? I'm like, I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm right now looking at my taskbars. I don't see Discord anywhere open at all, but I don't think I have it on my computer because I don't use Discord.
All right.
Which I know, surprising 65-year-old man. And you're like, oh, you don't use Discord? But I will, I'll quit everything to see.
No, it's fine. Don't quit, because then you'll drop out of here and this will be.
Well, there is that possibility.
All right, let's just get to the. You'll have to deal with it.
Fire the engineer. That's the problem. So we don't have an engineer on this fine program of mine.
Okay, Jordan, you're fired. There we go. All right, so now let's go to the last minute of Wease's show. This is him doing his sign off here, and he's saying goodbye.
Seems to have gone to text. And the guy that texted.
It jumped back to the original place. Here we go.
So that's the deal. I just can't thank people enough. The texts are cryable.
Yeah.
I love you people. I mean, there was one guy, I won't be able to find it now, because it says, I hate your politics, but I don't care. I've been loving you the whole time. Yeah. That's how I feel about Bob. Right. Same thing. So here's the deal, kids. I guess this is it. The company has researched the market. Rochester needs a real rock station, a fresh sound with some familiar voices.
A fresh sound. Judas Priest, Led Zeppelin. What fresh sound are you giving them?
I saw the lineup. It was like Metallica, Linkin Park.
Even that, even though that's modern classic rock, that is still not a fresh sound.
And an attitude. Welcome to the new Rock 95.1, Rochester's Real Rock. Do you have music?
Well, what you're going to have to say, it's nice to be.
It's nice to be important.
But it's more important to be nice.
Yeah.
And that's how he ended.
And that's it. That is, it definitely sounds like that. I mean, when you take a look at the timing of everything, I got to think that he's still under contract because we're in the middle of a year. Mm-hmm. So at least if he had the rest of this year left, he would have the rest of this year left. I suppose somebody could look up. I mean, these things happen when you sign a deal. How long's the deal? Usually somebody could find that information. Somebody might know that. But it does sound like he's playing nice and everybody's being nice, probably because, you want to make sure you can still get paid, even if, they tell you your job is changing or maybe you're just not wanted anymore. That seems standard. I don't know if Wease would have gone completely crazy. It's hard to say, but yeah, the way he was overly nice, and I think Doreen, I think that was who that was, also overly complimentary, that they wanted to be sure that, hey, we're not going to badmouth the company. This is just what we're doing. You're doing what you're doing, and let's all be okay with it. And I just think it was a big surprise because I think that would have been a better final show. It would have been a much more, Wease, thank you for everything. Have people guest on the show. And in that town, because all the news stations picked it up. I had
news clips here too, but when we finally got sent the final show, I was like, all right, let's just play the show instead of the news announcements of it.
And you know, Eric, in a lot of towns they don't care about radio, but in Rochester he's had such an impact that it was the big story on the NBC, ABC, CBS affiliates. That's a town that they still honor the fact that he's a somebody. Whereas in other towns, like in Seattle, for instance, they do not care about radio at all. They just don't. I think that it would have been a big thing if he had a final show, which I don't know why his company wouldn't want to do that. That's why I think it all sounds like this was not planned to go this way today.
Well, we'll have to wait and find out what he's doing because he's obviously not going to be on tomorrow. So who knows when he'll resurface and we'll hear what the actual story was from his end. But we do know he has got a podcast coming in January. Again, we don't know why he's waiting that long for it, but this is all we know. This is all we have.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, especially January is the beginning of a new year, and if in fact that's when his contract is up, but then again, usually, I'll just tell you this: a lot of contracts, are 6 months non-compete. So if that's not 6 months from now, I don't know how he would be able to do that unless his particular contract didn't say anything about podcasting. But I know a lot of contracts do. So it's all the whole timing of everything is just so bizarre. And again, why wouldn't iHeart want him to do a podcast for them?
Right.
I just, why let him, especially when he really has a great relationship with advertisers. At least that was my memory of him, was he was really good with advertisers. They were loyal to him. I don't know why you wouldn't want to try to preserve that in some way, shape, or form while you go on with your new plans for this fresh sound that Rochester so desperately needs.
Well, I think the plan was to demote him kind of to just the weekend guy as they flipped this format, and he didn't really kind of want to do that. It would be like his way of just kind of fading off into obscurity. So, go out his own way, I guess.
I can appreciate that. I really can. You have a daily show. You went to middays. You're like, okay, I'll do that. I remember, this kind of happened with a guy who I loved and I grew up on, Charles Laquadera. They brought Stern in town in Boston, and they put Charles on the classic rock station. And, Charles was the big guy in town. He was the man. He was Stern before Stern, at least for Boston. He was fantastic. And a similar thing happened. And I don't think it sat well with Charles to just sort of be kicked aside. Howard was as great. I mean, this was a weird thing because Howard usually is not very gracious, but he was very gracious because in Boston it was different. Howard just wasn't going to come on and take a crap all over Charles Laquadera the way he did DeBella and Mark and Brian and a lot of the other places he went. It was very different how Howard phased into Boston, but I don't think it was something that was well loved by Charles. And to your point, Jordan, I think that's the other thing is that Wease is like, I don't want to fade out into the sunset like this. I'm just going to, it's very possible he's like, I'm done. I'm not going to go be a weekend guy.
Right.
Well, we'll see what happens in the near future or whenever he's allowed to talk. BJ, thank you for sitting here for all this time. I didn't expect you to have this kind of flexibility to be here with us, but thank you for being here. Thank you for your insight.
My pleasure.
Is there anything that you want to plug? Your gaming night, perhaps, or are you streaming on Twitch or something? What are you doing?
You know what? I know I'm really bad. I'm not doing anything. I really am being lazy. I'm getting ready to be a grandpa, and I think that's my first grandchild coming into the world, and that's happening in October.
Congratulations.
And thank you. So that really is kind of what I'm doing. And I'm telling you, man, I really like not doing anything. It's really weird. It's very, very weird because I am doing a lot of board gaming. I'm doing a lot, running around, doing a lot with my friends and my girlfriend. And so I'm Yeah. And I mean, I'm lucky enough that, I saved enough money that I don't have to work. And so that's a nice thing. And, again, 65, Eric, I'm going to let you guys do it. I think that way. But you know what? You call me up once in a while, say, hey, what do you think about this? I'm happy to do it.
I'm happy to talk about it. I just don't. I think I'm at the point too that I'm ready to stop doing it as well. It's like I don't know.
I wonder about my buddy Opie because Opie's
we all wonder.
Yeah, I know, and I have to say, one of my favorite lines from you was when Opie had mentioned that he had wasted he thought he wasted his best years as he was making that statement from his balcony of a beautiful place.
The $5 million years.
I think I would pull Opie aside because he's always been great to me, and but I still would pull Opie aside and go, dude, that's ripe for a ridiculous. I mean, someone's going to beat you up for that. You can't say you have a great life. You can't ever. You just can't let no one's going to feel sorry for you ever. You have a great life because of the amount of money you made. And even me, I can complain and say whatever, but I don't have to work. I mean, there are people that never get here, so I can't ever complain and go, "Oh, woe is me," And I had a lot of stuff happen to me in the biz, but Opie's Opie, and he definitely. I just don't have that bug. I don't have a bug to go. I need to prove something. I did the job. I was on the radio. I had fame. I had some fortune. I'm good if that never happens again. But for some people, yeah, they still need it. And I'm not saying that's Opie, but other people just can't rest. Me, I'm like, hey, dude, I got to do some cool things, now let someone else do some cool things. That's fine.
Yeah. The thing with him, we're not going to go down a whole Opie thing, but the thing with him is he does, I don't know what's going on with him anymore. I think he's just mentally lost it. But the thing is when he goes and does his nonsense streams and he's just speaking to, I know he's got a camera and he's got a little bit of a chat, but it's almost like he's just sitting in a room yelling at a wall, it's not resonating with anybody. He's not getting any kind of constructive feedback. Anything that could help him is not coming back his way. What he's putting out there seems to be like he legitimately hates Anthony. He legitimately hates Jim and Sam and me and all these other things for whatever reason. And he thinks that we all hate him too, and we want him to die, or we want him destroyed, or whatever. It's not that he puts this out there. It's so venomous, but coming from how Jimmy responded to him once, and that was about Ozzy dying. In all the years since Jim and him have not done anything anymore, Jim has never said a word. Anthony plays volleyball, badminton, pickleball, whatever you want to call it. He just lobs it back over the net and go, let's see what you return to me here. I'll give you back my best serve with this, and has fun with it, goofs on it, critiques him, and also will time to time give him constructive criticism that he never listens to. I've done it too, and he took major offense because I said, why don't you act like a human being? And then we can talk. And that became like, how dare you think I'm not a human? Well, the way you're acting is not even a child. It's not a human response, how you're doing this stuff. Everybody else lobs it back to him to kind of mess with him a little bit. It's like, come on, this is what we used to do. This is what we made that show to be. We were all attacking each other. Everyone got their turn in the barrel. We would throw the worst stuff out there. You took it. You tried to fight back. And then we were all cool with each other. Everything was good. He forgot all of that. He comes back at a place of weird hatred, and we're like, we don't think about this enough to actually sit here and hate you all the time. That's your thing. We're just throwing stuff back at you. We're just goofing on you now, or we don't even think about And for a lot of things, it's sad because now you don't even want to respond back to him half the time anymore because you go, there's no helping him. It's just, hopefully one day something clicks and then he realizes, time is short and, this is all foolishness and what have you. He's just not there yet. I don't know if he'll ever be there, but that's what it is.
I would love, if you don't mind, if I could say something about Jimmy, because I've seen this whole thing going on, as you know, Eric, and Jimmy, of course, would go travel to other radio shows. Not only was he doing your show, but then he would go on the road, and he would even
do the morning shows we Jocktobered. He would go on their show. If they would have him, he'd gladly go on and talk about it.
And you always would be worried, like, oh my gosh, this guy can be brutal to anybody. Like, he's just so quick and he's so smart. And and of course, Jimmy became a really good friend to our show and a really great guy. And whenever he's in town, he always says, hey, let's get together. What I was impressed with, and this is what I would just put out there, like when anybody wants to say, okay, this bad thing's going on, and you wonder, well, who do you believe? Whose side of the story? I always take a look at, well, how does a person show up? Jim Norton was one of the most professional people I have ever seen. I mean, when you talk about somebody who prepares and does what he does for his craft, even like getting backstage for a show, and he had Kenny back there, and boy, what a great guy to have back there, because Kenny is just like, look, Jim wants it a certain way, it's going to be a certain way.
Right.
And that's when I was like, okay, this is not some party guy, which a lot of comics and whatever, people just want to get high, get stoned, drink, and then they go out on stage and hopefully they do a good set. Jim was amazing. And he was also amazing because he'd work with your show. You know, you knew he was part of a cutting edge show that was probably better than every radio station he ever visited. But never once did he bring that attitude. He brought an attitude of, let's have a great show. What can I do? What can we be? He was very collaborative. He was tremendous. And even he knew that Opie and I were friends. And when he would come to town, never would do anything to even open that up at all. He was a consummate professional. And
wait, would you say a human being?
Oh, beyond a human being, beyond a human being. Okay. I mean, and this isn't, you know, Opie and I don't talk a whole lot. Sometimes it somewhat disappoints me, but you know, I mean, he just doesn't reach out a lot, doesn't talk a lot, and I don't know the last time I spoke to Opie. I have a lot of love in my heart for Opie because he did a lot of great stuff for us in Rochester, and we had great times with Opie. And he's an amazing talent, and I appreciate what he brought to the table in all of the years he did radio. He did a lot of great stuff. Sometimes people didn't even know what he did, but I always recognized it. With that said, I'm a lot closer to Jimmy. I just have to say, and Opie was the guy that I worked with. A lot of people would say that. Yeah. Yeah. But in such a short time with even more limited experiences, Jimmy just was just a terrific human being. And that's all I want to say that because I just feel like it's important to say that about a person. I'm not necessarily saying anything negative about Opie because I haven't had any negative interactions with Opie the way other people say they have. That never happened for me. Mm-hmm. But I will say Jimmy, nothing but amazing, positive interactions. I never met Anthony. I think we had one interaction one time on the air, and it was a Star Trek bit that we both did, and I had a great time doing it with Anthony, but I don't know Anthony at all. So I can't make any comments about somebody. I just don't know him. But Jimmy, oh my gosh, I was a stand-up human being, and I just wanted to say that. I just felt like, you know, sometimes I hear things, and I'm like, that's just not cool. Jimmy is a cool dude, and whatever the problem is, doesn't change the fact that he's a cool dude. He's a great human being, and I have a lot of love for Jimmy. Thank you for letting me say that, Eric. I'm happy I have the opportunity to because I just never have. Yeah, you know, and I wanted to because he's a good dude. And the same for you as well. I think that, you know, the time I've gotten to know you, you're a great guy, and I would feel like you and people like Jimmy, you could work out anything with anybody. I don't think you guys are a problem. And I'm not saying anybody else is a problem. I'm just saying I don't think you guys are a problem.
No, everybody else still talks, not to the capacity or the interaction that the audience wants. You know, we're all not getting back together and doing a show and thing. But, you know, Anthony's with his new syndicated show on terrestrial. He's back up in New York once a month to do a show from that studio, and Jimmy's there with him every time he's there in New York. So you're getting a little bit of it. You're getting them back together for 3 hours in a radio format. So, you know, obviously limited on what they can say and do with it, but they still were the masters of getting around all of that stuff and saying what they need to say without actually saying it, and you know exactly what is going on and talking about. So you still get that. Jimmy does his podcast. Ant does his compound stuff, his radio show, all these things. I have a thing. Sam's doing his thing on Sirius XM plus rest. Everybody does their own shit. But if Sam called tomorrow, I'd pick up the phone and like, hey, what's going on? Or same thing. I've reached out to Jimmy on a few things. You know, we talk, and like everyone still talks. Just one of them doesn't, and that's unfortunate. We can't make you be friends with everybody.
Yeah, that's disappointing because you guys had such great radio. You guys, I mean, they did such great radio, and that's sad to me because I would like to think I would always try to heal it because look at the great things we did. Let me see if I can overcome whatever I'm bothered by. But that's who I am. I want to be able to do that. And like I didn't always get along with Wease. I was very bitter, very jealous, and I had to get my act together quickly because as it turns out, he was a great guy and I was the one with a problem. And Wease has got such a big heart and and it's always been loving towards me. But I was so bitter for a while that I wouldn't talk to Wease. But I had to get my act together, Eric. I'm the one that had to look in the mirror and go, wait a minute. It seems like everybody loves the guy but me. Do you think it's me? Maybe it's me. And I would hope that for everybody involved because you guys did great stuff. You guys were the top people in your profession. You don't get to do what Opie and Anthony and all the people that were on that show. You don't get to accomplish that. We all look up to you and go, my God, you guys are the gold standard. And that's worth celebrating and somehow figuring out a way to put the stuff aside and remember you guys did something great that not everybody did. Not everybody gets to say that's in this industry. You guys do. I mean, Eric, you always will have that. You were part of something great that most people will never get to do in our industry. And that's worth celebrating. And to me, it's worth remembering over any other problem that could be because nobody gets to that level of greatness. People dream of getting to that level of greatness, and you have it. And I would like to see that for all of you guys to remember that. Look in the mirror and go, guys, we did this. Can we forget all the other crap and remember this? But you're right. Sometimes people can't. It's too bad. I think because you guys, man, you guys were special. No doubt about it.
Hey, Ope, do you have any comment on that?
Oh my God!
Okay.
Oh,
he doesn't agree, but anyway, no, I concur. I agree with you. I always look back at when audience asks us questions or messages online or something like that. I try to look back at it and go, you don't understand the amazing opportunity that we had. People are looking back at, and whatever roles we had on the show or the views that were either for radio or reality, we blurred that line too about what we thought of each other, if this person was this or that. It's like you look back and go, look at the opportunity that we had. We were on terrestrial and satellite at the same time. We had deals that were unthinkable and never happened again. We had all these great opportunities, and I always look back in fondness on a lot of that stuff. Yeah, there was negative shit too, but like you said, the positive outweighed the negative on this, or you could say, or if Jimmy was here, he'd say, well, you outweighed all of it. And I'd be like, you're right, Jim, I get it. But that all outweighed the good stuff. I look back all the time. I'm like, man, I was lucky. Even if I don't get to do anything else going forward, you're right. I look back and go, we were on the biggest shows in the history of this business. We had this amazing opportunity. We did all of this fun stuff. And I will always remember that. And I think Jim and Ant and Sam and Sam's still doing, everyone's still doing stuff. We're not done saying our life is done yet. We're all doing our own things and moving forward the best that we can with all of this stuff. But if we look back through all this shit, we all look back and go, that was an amazing time. It'll never happen again, but that was an amazing time. And we were very fortunate enough that we were allowed to do that.
And you were talented enough to be part of that. That's the other thing. I mean, Eric,
yes, I was. Thank you for recognizing that.
You're always going to have that, man. I mean, frankly, that's why I'm surprised that somebody hasn't scooped you up. Like to me, it's just, if there was a person that had a brain in their head, they'd be like, we got to talk to Eric because look what he was a part of. How do you not just say, I don't care? He was a part of that. That was the most great thing that's ever happened. Let's put him in our company in some way, shape, or form. Blows my mind.
You know the answer. It's the way radio is right now. It does not matter what level of success or what you've done in this business. They look at you and you go, oh, that's probably too much, or you're not fitting a certain criteria that they're looking for now.
Insane.
They don't care anymore. It's not about the quality. It's just whatever the bottom line is, and let's get us to the next quarter, Yeah. And what about next year? If we do this now, the next year's projections will be terrible. Well, we'll worry about that next year. Right now, we're up for the third quarter, so we just keep doing that. They don't think ahead. And all the people in charge right now, at least this is my thought, they're there to get as much money as they possibly can, will take that golden parachute and get the fuck out and don't care that this whole industry collapses like a house of cards.
Yeah. And that's a sad thing, because I think you can do both. I think you still can make.
You can steal all the money and the industry collapse. Yeah. I agree with you. We can do both.
You can get it all. I mean, you really, sure, you got to. You know what? You're paying people $10 a week and you're making $20 a week. That's great. But you know what? You could maybe pay people $100,000 and make $200,000 as a profit. It's just so dumb to me that as long as you're making a profit, nobody looks at it and says, like, that profit is ridiculous. We could be doing, nobody looks at that anymore. It's just like, oh, you're making a profit. Good job. Yeah. It's like, oh, all right. Wait, well, yeah. Okay.
You can get paid doing this?
Sure can.
Jordan,
used to, Jordan.
Jordan, earmuffs. Thank you.
Used to. Yeah. But man, that's why, I got a lot of love for you, Eric, because.
And you too, sir.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, I appreciate the love. I mean, I look at it like, thank you for loving me, because, man, you did it. You went to the highest. I never went to your level. It never happened. Sure, I had great success in Seattle, but the closest thing I had to what you have is working with Wease, because Wease was an amazing talent who owned Rochester. The ratings were insane, and I got to be part of that for 4 years, and it was fantastic. It was like your ride, where it's like, man, I was a young person at the time. I didn't realize, it's like a person that wins the World Series their first season, and they have no idea that, this will probably never happen to you again. And it was like that for me, and I was lucky enough to recreate it towards the tail end of my career in Seattle. But man, still, what you accomplished is, nobody can say it. Nobody can say that. Every convention I go to, it's like, yeah, but Eric worked for that show. It's like he was the dude for that show.
No, we can say it. Jordan, you say it. You say how great I am.
No, I'm not gonna do that.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
So I guess you can't say it.
Well, and this business beats the hell out of everybody.
Yep.
And that's why I tend to be Pete positive, because especially from the behavioral science standpoint, as well as the artistic standpoint, we're made to feel like we're crap. We're made to feel like we're not worth anything. And that's what mediocre, crappy, shitty management does. But, Eric, my God, you are a fucking legend in this business because of what your show was. And it's like, where is the respect for that? My God, somebody has to have if you don't, I don't even want to talk to you. If you're a manager, you don't even know what you did, Eric. If they don't know what you did, it's like, well, you're a horrible manager. You should have some history under your belt. And I know I'm an old man saying it, but you should have some history and know who some of the people were that achieved the greatness that you and O&A and that whole show achieved. And I'm just happy to get to know you guys. I'm happy that I knew you guys, and at least you considered me a peer. To me, that's special because of what you guys accomplished, and I feel grateful. And I never also got Jocktobered. I always felt like that was a nice thing that never happened.
It was an oversight on our part, I'm sure.
It could have happened so many times in my career. I was like, my God, is Opie just being kind? Because he really should Jocktober my show.
We had,
for
as many clips that we had of you, we had twice as many for Miggs. So we were ready to come after you. We just never got around to it.
It really should have happened, especially with me. I did some really crappy radio in pretty much the majority of my career. So, it should have happened. But lots of love for you, man. Thank you for having me. I know I've overstayed. Jordan, thank you for listening to this man ramble on. And anytime you guys want to talk to biz, I love doing it, especially if we get to take a crap on management from time to time.
No, come back. Let's talk gaming. I will fucking shit talk you to hell and back for Settlers of Catan or something along those lines.
Look at you.
And that's the only board game I could think of right now.
You're bringing up a game from the 80s. Not bad. You're doing good.
Again,
good
that's
job.
all I could think of. But, if you're doing online gaming, something like that, let us know. We'll hop in and have a good time and it all. BJ, you're welcome back anytime, my friend. Thank you for coming and doing this with us.
Thank you for having me, man.
You may go and resume your life now. Thank you.
I will. Thank you very much.
It's Eric Nagel. Follow the show on all social medias at It's Eric Nagel for ways to watch or listen to the show, both live and on demand. Go to itsericnagel.com.